Are you? Got it.
I guess
Because tonight, what we do in life echoes in eternity. That's right. We're going back to 2000 Y2K for Gladiator. Not 4 separate words,
Gladiator.
but one word referring to a arena fighter. Russ, if you're a gladiator, what's your weapon of choice?
Ooh.
the Gladius.
What?
You think so? Just the sword? Nothing else?
No, I would definitely want a shield. I feel like a sword and shield kind of guy.
Sword and shield. Sword and shield. Joe, what about you?
I honestly probably a spear and shield.
Spear and shield. I can't get behind the spear.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Kelly says a dental dam. I got to agree. I'd probably keep a dental dam in ancient Rome.
Woo!
That's the only way you're not walking home itching the side of your mouth.
SOP.
Let's talk about this movie. Russell Crowe, Richard Harris, Joaquin Phoenix. It's funny doing that. I was like, oh, this is kind of early Joaquin Phoenix. But then I remember he was in the Parenthood, or not the, he was in Parenthood with Steve Martin.
Right.
Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about this movie and what it means to us. Joe,
dick.
What's the rating?
I mean, even 22 years later, I mean, I own this movie on every format.
Almost 23.
VHS, DVD, digital copy, extended versions. I mean, I've this movie's got a lot of my money. Saw it at least 2 or 3 times in the theater. I want to say it was probably 3.
Yeah, this is definitely a theater movie for me. Russ, did you see this movie in the movie theater?
I don't remember seeing it in the theaters.
Oh God, I remember the first time I saw it in the movie theater.
I mean, if you didn't see this movie in the movie theater, you missed out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
sorry.
This movie on the silver screen can't compete with this movie on my TV. Like it just does. It's not possible.
Oh,
I
even watched this movie on a bronze screen. Still pretty great.
Yeah. Stone Age even.
This is my freshman year of high school. And I don't think I was loving life. So I don't think I went.
Freshman year of high school? I
Yep.
He just said that.
I can't even with you right now.
He just said that. All right. Continue with the rating and the grading and the thing we do.
You know the worst part about that and you feeling that way? I'm not really that young anymore.
Nobody likes you, Russ. I mean, we keep you around, but nobody really likes you.
All right.
Wow.
I wanted to say that it felt dated. I wanted to say that the performances haven't held up. I wanted to have a lot of negative, old man things to say about this movie, but the reality is it's just a badass movie.
The movie fucking rocks.
It's an A+. I mean, it's really hard to find a lot of things that I don't like about this movie. Now, I mean, there are some things technically I could probably get into, and we will, I'm sure. But for me, this is an A+ movie. This movie's never a bad watch.
All right. I like it coming out strong. Russ, are you going to counterpoint or just fall in line?
I'm going to fall in line to a degree. I will I'll back you guys up. I mean, I don't think I saw this movie in theaters, so I probably missed out on something there.
You did miss that opening scene.
Oh, bro, that opening scene
truly be appreciated on the big screen. Like you can't even touch that. in the movie theaters.
Oh, dude, the swap when he's in his field and he's got his hands running over the wheat. The light in the theater, like the switch to that, and then back to this dark. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Anyways, I also think that by the time I had watched this movie, because I do remember like watching it significantly later, that scene in particular like wasn't as powerful as it would have been because other movies had started doing those big battle scenes.
Fair.
Kicked
And
off kind of a whole revitalization of big epics, big sweeping epics.
It really did.
yeah, and there's something about this movie that like I want it to be an A plus, but it's never been an A plus for me. And I think it's like the story itself that I didn't, because the acting's great, cinematography's great, music's great, action's great, but the story itself isn't a bad story. But I kind of always felt like I would have liked it to have been the same story, but done in a different way, not the Gladiator route. And before watching it yesterday, I probably would have given it an A minus. But when I was watching it yesterday, I was doing a little bit of research about the about Commodus in general, and he, I guess the way he actually died was in a gladiatorial arena. And so I always felt like the story was a little too Hollywood, and that's what detracted from it for me. But after reading about it, I kind of want to research it a little more. I didn't do enough research. Maybe it's not too Hollywood.
Shocker.
And so I'm going to move it up to an A instead of an A minus. It could be an A plus for me, but I still feel like it's got a little too much like Shasha, where
What?
I
Shasha.
just
Too
want a little more
serious?
like
this movie didn't have
Very little
enough.
shasha to this movie.
It didn't have enough shasha. They could have shashad the fucking shasha.
That's right.
out of
It's
this
Ridley
bitch.
Scott. He doesn't put shasha into his movies. He smolders. All his movies smolder. There's no shasha.
Hence Joaquin
I don't know.
Phoenix.
I don't know. Also, it's got Russell Crowe in it, so it's automatically going to be in the A's because
Is that right?
my name's
Russell Crowe.
Russell. His name's Russell.
There might be
There you
some favoritism going on here.
All right, you got me there. I didn't think of that angle because my name's not Russell, but you got me there.
We got the freshman perspective. So what's your senior perspective, Ben?
Yeah, what's like the old person's home perspective?
Like kind of like Joe. I didn't really plan on hating this movie. Like I did Western Front. I was like, this is gonna be the same old shit, and I was blown away. I was like, at first I thought, all right, I'll watch this movie again, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I'm actually getting excited for it, and then I watched it, and I don't think it disappoints. There's very few things wrong with this movie, as far as I'm concerned. I am gonna vote it my favorite Russell Crowe performance. I think.
Man,
100%.
really? Even against A Dangerous Mind?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful Mind?
A Beautiful Mind. You're right. Beautiful Mind. See,
I
like
think
that.
Beautiful
like
Dangerous
that.
Mind with Michelle Pfeiffer and Bokeem Woodbine.
I think.
No, I don't know.
And Bamber Cumberpooch.
What about American Gangster?
Dude, that movie for me is all Denzel Washington. Like
It
Crowe's
is,
great
yeah.
in it, but he's just a standard performance. He's
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
role. I find him to really be this guy. So really great. Maybe as a shocker, I find it. You guys have given it such high grades. I would say it's the most solid B plus that there can be. Like this is the benchmark for B pluses.
B
There's a
plus.
few
What the
few things
fuck?
wrong. Few things wrong. And looking in the research, I definitely found the explanation. Like the original story was almost completely bullshit. Nothing from the original story ended up on the screen. but a guy wrote here's Gladiator, and he kind of gets screwed over, and they reworked everything else. What's his name?
Yeah,
He
I
played
heard Russell
Proximo.
Crowe wanted to like rewrite the script from day one, like the whole script.
Yeah, he did. He did, and they tried to actually keep it from him. From what I read, was they were like, you don't need the movie, but it's $100 million budget. It's Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
and you're going to be the starring role. And he was like,
I
all
like
right,
Ridley
fuck it.
Scott.
But he did get the script, and still, dude, it's Ridley Scott. He's responsible for some of the most iconic movies in modern cinema. So, yeah, I think it's the most solid B plus, and just has a few tiny flaws.
I mean,
Just
you're
like any
entitled
Ridley
to be
Scott
you're
film,
entitled to
honestly.
be wrong. You're entitled.
Right.
Before we
know.
move on from it, I think this is a great segue for a piece of trivia that I read, and I don't want to forget. It's about Russell Crowe wanting to rewrite it constantly. He would like frequently walk off the set if he didn't get his way. I'm gonna read this word for word from the internet.
Right.
Because
Yeah, I read the same thing, but let's do it.
Awesome.
You did. Yeah. So he didn't want to read the "and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next." He refused to read it, but he ended up agreeing. And when he agreed, he said to the screenwriter, "Your lines are garbage, but I'm the greatest actor in the world, and I can make even garbage sound good." What a douche.
Dude, that's like a 13. Wait, that's like my teenager.
That's
Dude, once since we're telling Russell Crowe stories, once I saw a little TMZ clip where drunk ass bloated Russell Crowe, probably circa 2015 or so, comes out of a club and people are like, Russell, and he signs some autographs, and Courtney Love is 5 feet away and says like, nobody's asking me for anything and I'm really famous. And he brings her over and she signed, and I thought that's like the nicest thing you can do as evil people. Like, you just became lawful evil because of you helping out this other disgusting fucking whore. Anyway,
wow. Hot
do you
take.
remember
dude, come on.
when
Starfuckers. They're not great.
No.
Do you remember when he threw the phone at that woman who worked at the
Yes.
hotel he was staying at? And that was like
early, right?
No, that was his peak of.
Yeah, it was like
then his
pinnacle.
people started telling him like, dude, Russell, you gotta calm the fuck down.
Maybe
And
quit being a prick.
I think he got on Prozac or something at that point.
Maybe.
I mean, he's done he's
second
done a lot of great movies. You know, Master and Commander, A Beautiful Mind,
310 to Yuma. I love him in 310 to Yuma.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a little light, but he's great in that movie. He's one of my favorites. I might give that second place.
Also, Noah. No, I'm kidding.
No, come on. What? I watched Noah. Next.
Did you watch Robin Hood?
What about
Come
Oliver?
on, that's the worst Robin Hood.
What about Oliver?
Come
Reed?
on.
About Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed? Is that what we're going to talk about?
Yeah. I've got
Proximo.
notes on Oliver Reed. Proximo. You mentioned him earlier. I was waiting to circle back around.
Yeah. Well, so he was supposed to be a bigger role in this. Originally, they were going to have Maximus fight him, and that was going to be Commodus's like,
that
right? Yeah, that's his like.
That was
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to be the undefeated gladiator from retirement. Huh?
yes, right. And then Oliver Reed died, and they were like, "All right, well, what else can we do?"
Fuck Oliver Reed.
And
no, because that would have been great.
So they even had I read in the trivia, did a lot of trivia reading for this one. They had a clause in the contract with Oliver Reed that if he died, they could reshoot all his scenes at the expense of the production. So like, they're not going to take anything away from Oliver Reed, but yeah, you can cut me completely out of this movie if I die. And Ridley Scott was like, no, fuck that. We got fantastic acting from this guy who apparently did not like Russell Crowe at all, which is pretty funny.
That is pretty funny because Oliver Reed is
fucking,
apparently his era is Russell Crowe.
Right, exactly.
He's
He's fucking rough and tumble.
Yeah, he was like the bad boy dude. Interesting enough.
Yep.
This ties into it, and if we've got more to say about Oliver Reed, I'm more than welcome to circle back around to it. But while we're looking into him, I came across The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Oh yeah, bro.
Who has seen
One of my
that
favorites
movie?
when I was a kid.
Russ
The
is
what?
looking. Russ, Google it real quick. Ben and I are gonna geek out for a second. You Google
What's it
Yeah.
called?
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Dude, it's Terry Gilliam, Monty Python.
is-
Absolutely. It's
Okay.
got fucking Eric Idle.
Yeah, I mean, fucking dude, Time Bandits
The
Yeah.
internet.
and Terry
Yeah.
Gilliam. I mean, figuring how persecuted he was for the production of The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. I was blown away. I didn't know that story had its roots in 1785. You know that story was from the 1700s.
Yeah, it's like one of those obscure.
Was
it
blown
reminds
away,
me of
dude.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Guillermo del Toro for today. He loves that obscure like monster stories. Yeah, this was like a classic literature. Yeah, dude, Terry
had
Gilliam
no
is
idea.
a absolutely insane genius.
What?
Dude, Time
So-
Bandits though, like friggin' time. You remember Time Bandits? Dude,
I
that was
googled
Yes,
that
I do.
movie. By the way, 2 things to say about that movie.
Right.
A,
Super
3
low
things.
Rotten Tomato score.
I've never heard of it
And
before.
also
After you said, Russell, Google The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, I type in the ADV and Google knows exactly what I'm going to type. It's like, is this what you're looking for?
It's listening.
It's like,
Naturally.
It's
What
listening.
the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Google is Skynet, bro.
So the only thing I have to say about it is because Google's like, why is Robin Williams not credited in Baron Munchausen? And I click
That's
on that. It's the
interesting,
only thing
actually.
I've read.
'Cause, yeah, he's actually a big
But
role in
it's pretty interesting. The filmmaker explains the deal was that we couldn't use his name because his agent said, we don't want you pimping his ass for your film. And I thought, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's hilarious. I actually forgot Robin Williams was in that movie until you just said that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in so long. It's like
God,
universally
no, no.
panned. It's one of those. It's like Clue. Like everybody says what a shitty movie Clue is. I've seen Clue 50 times.
Right,
Like,
everybody knows Clue.
I
Right?
mean, what is it really that shitty, or is it just like, oh yeah, everybody's seen it so much because it's
so good
brilliant?
you
Don't
love to
talk
hate
bad
it.
about Tim
Yeah.
Curry.
Yeah.
Swear to God,
Exactly.
critics.
So what about Richard Harris? Richard Harris. He was Dumbledore,
Original Dumbledore.
and he
Yeah.
died. He would
Original
not.
Dumbledore.
Yeah, he
Give-
pulled an Oliver Reed.
Yeah, he would not give them more lifespan for more filming.
Yeah,
And I thought he was a
I mean,
great
my
Dumbledore.
life is like littered with these. I mean, we got Robert Jordan, we got friggin' Richard Harris. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
the list could go on.
But something funny I read about Richard Harris is they would have to rewrite things, and of
Dude, they
all
rewrote
the,
basically from what I saw is basically from the time they started filming until the time they wrapped this.
They
like,
just
the
rewrote constantly.
they just rewrote the whole thing as they shot it.
But
Like,
Richard Harris,
daily rewrites.
Richard Harris learned his
Oh.
lines in the beginning, and then they would rewrite things, and he would just be like, "Nope, I can't learn new lines. I'm too old."
I'm gonna try my hardest to forever use the euphemism of pulled an Oliver Reed. my I'm fucking dying over here. He pulled an Oliver
That
Reed.
was pretty good, right?
Hey, favorite Roman emperor? Anybody got one? How about your favorite Roman story? It's way easier than emperor. Do you have?
I mean,
Is it
Ben-Hur.
Rome? I imagine Russ's is Rome.
Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur. I haven't watched that since I was a kid.
Dude, I'm a bit. I haven't either in a long time, and I mean, and it's going back. And if I had to watch it now, I'm sure I would have lots to say. But for it in its heyday, Like that was an epic fucking movie, dude.
I think it won Best Picture.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it was at the top of the heap for many, 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 many years. I mean, it was a benchmark for a long time. I was trying to look to see
Russ, what
who.
about you? You got something that's better than Titus Pullo?
I mean, you're talking adaptation. No, the show
Anything
Rome
Roman?
is the best. Well, I mean, if you're talking like my favorite piece of Roman like point in time, I'd say the Mark Antony, Cleopatra, Octavian story is my favorite. But anything that's like portraying it today is like watching or reading or whatever. Rome the show, it just annihilates anything that's ever tried to do anything ever. It's so good.
fucking
It's
great.
such a good show.
I was trying to look to see because I saw it earlier, so I was trying to look it up. I couldn't remember who else they wanted to audition for the part for Marcus Aurelius. And I
Marcus
can't
Aurelius.
find the
Mine, of course, is either it's a tie for Life of Brian or
That's,
uh,
it doesn't count.
what do you mean it doesn't count? He's got to rewrite the the actual Roman way to say Romans go home on the wall. It's 100% Rome adjacent.
That's
What are you
different.
talking about?
I wasn't thinking about joke movies when you asked that question.
It's not a joke movie. It's very important.
Well, shit. In that
kidding
case,
me?
we could talk about what was the movie we did with the
History of the world.
history of the world. I mean, shit.
That's what it's tied with. That's what it's tied
Yeah.
with for sure. Yeah, that's what. Treasure
Dude,
bath.
no, those movies.
All right.
I would actually say for me, Rome is not only a little bit better than this movie, but Rome the show is like a lot better than this movie. And this movie is phenomenal. I gave it an A. Rome is just
Who's your favorite character from Rome? Russ.
probably Caesar. Or
What? He dies in the first season. I mean, Syrian Hines is great.
It's
Don't get me
2
wrong.
seasons long. It's 2 seasons
Yeah,
long.
I know.
He's there
I know.
50% of the time. I don't know. I like Brutus. I like
You would.
I like Mark Antony a lot in it, even
It's
though
all
he's
about
fucking
Attia.
psychopath.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about Attia. All right.
What about
Shift
Alexander?
gears.
I know why you say that.
Has anybody seen Alexander?
With Colin Farrell
Or
and
Colin
Angelina
Farrell?
Jolie.
Yeah, did you see that
Nah,
one?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
you didn't
good.
see it. I actually didn't. I didn't mind
Nah.
that movie. I thought it was pretty decently done.
Wait,
Alexander
where
There
was
was a
great.
whole decade long revival of the massive epic, especially the Sandals and whatever they call it something specific.
Sand and
I feel
Sandals.
like it ended with Alexander. Like that was the final. Like, oh, don't forget, we've got
because they did
this.
Troy, and they did
Troy was really fast after Gladiator, actually.
Yeah, I mean, what were
Where-
some of the
where
other
would
ones
you-
that they spurred from this?
I know
Kingdom of
none us-
Heaven,
300.
the 300. Yeah, there's yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about that for a minute. We might do Kingdom of Heaven or 300. We will never rate Troy on this show. If you guys
no.
were to rate and grade
Or Alexander.
Troy,
Don't
Or
fucking do
where
it.
would you put Troy? Where would you
Oh,
put the
dude,
Brad
no.
Pitt entry into the Roman story?
Never finished
as
it.
far as your
Like I
No,
watched
I've
all of
watched it
Kingdom of
multiple
Heaven and I
times.
didn't finish Troy.
Kingdom of Heaven is a long watch too.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'd rate Troy as I've watched it twice versus, and I don't own it. Haven't ever owned it.
Would never own it.
You know, probably wouldn't. I mean, it had some scenes.
Fuck Orlando
it had some
Bloom.
moments. I mean, probably the most powerful moment in Troy was when they back up and they pan over Athens in flame and ruins. That's a pretty epic scene. I'll give them that. Probably the best part of the movie.
I think
Hmm.
the scene where they're like storming the beachhead, it's like the Normandy version of Rome. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but they 300'd it
Oh.
up too much. Like I feel like 300 pulled from
Yeah.
that scene. But like they made it too much. Like you guys, there wasn't like
Too
like
much.
this. Yeah,
Too much.
yeah.
Anyways, Troy is
too
a
Hollywood.
C plus, right? C plus, maybe B minus.
No, I wouldn't even.
Wouldn't
go
even
that
watch it. Speaking of
You guys are
bullshit,
mean.
David Franzoni came up with the story, and then screenwriters hacked it to bits and tried to form a $406 million grossing movie. Guess what? They succeeded. But let's talk about Ridley Scott.
Do we need
What
to?
what movie
What
do
the
you think
fuck
of
did
when you're
you just-
thinking of the?
What did you just say before that?
What the fuck just happened? The fuck
Doesn't
did
matter. We're
you
talking
just
about Ridley
say?
Scott.
God, I'll
Russ,
never
what is your
forget.
favorite Ridley Scott film? Is it Black Hawk Down? I think it is.
No. Haven't
What
I
is
done this question? I want to be consistent.
You might have.
Now I gotta look up his movies now so I don't fuck it up. But
Gotta look up.
I mean,
I saw White Squall in the theater, 1996. This is the year I graduated high school. Saw White Squall in the theater and was so pulled into that movie from the cinematography. I'm sure Joe has. Russ, have you ever seen White Squall?
yes,
I mean,
Yeah.
who
What
hasn't?
did you think of it?
I barely remember it.
Fucking
What?
God damn it. Turn
Fucking
it off.
Russ, dude. I mean,
Turn
dude,
it
you're
off.
talking about Ridley Scott, dude. It's Alien, it's Blade Runner, it's Legend, it's
Right?
Black
Yeah.
Rain, it's Thelma and Louise, it's freaking White Squall, it's G.I. Jane, it's Gladiator, it's Hannibal, it's Black Hawk. I mean, this guy does nothing.
American Gangster, The Martian, and then Prometheus and Covenant. Come on. Come on.
Dude,
Yeah,
he's Babe Ruth. He steps up to the plate and he tells you where it's
He makes slow burns that are unlike anything anybody else can put together.
I think I gotta give it to Alien.
Even Body
I
of Lies.
just-
Body of Lies was a great movie. Like, I mean,
And
for what it was.
Another Russell Crowe. He likes working with
Yeah.
Crowe.
I think I'm trying to be consistent here because I think in the Alien movie I said
Dude,
this was
The
it was my favorite.
Martian.
But
The Martian.
honestly,
I love that movie, dude. That movie is
A
way
great
too much
movie.
fun.
I mean if you're talking about recent movies, everything he's done, not everything. A lot of what he's done has been really incredibly good. Prometheus to me is one of the best new sci-fi horrors of all time, and I know
Agreed.
it is.
I want to go
too
watch
hard.
it right now.
It's too hard for certain people to get there.
See, I saw it in the theaters, and I think it's just like
I think it's too smart for its own good sometimes. Like
if
the general populace,
the
just won't
marketing
enjoy it.
didn't match the movie was the problem. Like I went to it
Hmm.
expecting another installment or even a prequel to Aliens. And the fact of the matter was unless you were an Aliens fanboy before you showed
Yeah,
up,
that's why it's so good.
you didn't know, right? So like
That's why it's
after
so
I
good.
watched the movie and I got more into the franchise, I was like, oh.
Dude, and then Covenant is a follow up. Is a fucking dude. It's so good.
They're both incredible. I mean, I already said it, but Alien to me, I just think
I already said it.
for the time, for the year that the movie Alien was made, like what it did for sci-fi and what it did for horror, it's just too good. It's revolutionary.
Dude, I mean, this guy's
It's
got
too
like a
good.
90. I mean, like if we were talking baseball stats, this guy's like a 370, 380. Yeah. I mean,
Who talks baseball stats?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he may be even a 405 if we're talking about summer games.
Really?
And we're all right. We've already talked about Russell Crowe. Let's not do it anymore. What Joaquin Phoenix used to be Lee
Oh
Phoenix.
my God, dude.
Been around a long time. Very sad story of his brother who was going to be a major star. Wait, what?
What did you say? Used to be Leaf Phoenix? Can you
Yeah,
go
Lee
into
Phoenix.
that was his
If
name.
you watch Parenthood, which if you haven't, you should, and then stay till the credits, he is credited as Leaf Phoenix.
That was his name?
I believe that was his given name.
He's
I
got
gotta Google
multiple roles when he's a child as Leaf Phoenix.
Oh yeah. If you Google Leaf
better
Phoenix,
as Joaquin.
he comes up.
Cool.
Have you seen all of his siblings'
Thanks
names?
for. What's that?
Have you seen all of his siblings' names before? They're so weird.
No.
His
And you were
parents are
shocked that his was
weird
Leaf.
people.
Like, I mean, you had to Google it to verify his was Leaf.
No, I know. Let me see. His siblings are River, Rain, Summer, Jodine, and Liberty.
Yeah,
Kinda
where
like the
in there
Zappas, only not so far
did they
out.
come in with Joaquin? They didn't. They named him Leaf.
He was like, I gotta get a little more normal. I'll go with Joaquin.
This was pre-Firefly,
the
right?
Joaquin.
This was pre-Firefly, so the Leaf reference wasn't nearly as cool.
I mean, Leif Erikson, dude, he found this country. What are you talking about?
I mean,
Predates the Spanish.
It's spelled differently, right? Like leaf on the wind.
I don't know why you have to be the way you are. Every time I try and make something fun, you have to make it not that way. Hey,
Not
Connie Nielsen.
that way.
Speaking of Robin Williams, she was in 1 Hour Photo.
Oh my god, that's a creepy movie. Talk about the creepiest creep movie ever, dude.
And also talk about like one of the best comedians of all time, just proving he in an instant he can be an actor by being this dude. I find that to be kind of a tour de force from Robin Williams. Like,
that guy
pretty
was
amazing.
so versatile, dude. Every time I see that guy, I can't remember what movie it was. I was just watching just recently, and I saw a movie with him in it. And
Moscow on the Hudson?
No, absolutely wasn't.
It wasn't that one.
But I couldn't help but think in the moment I reviewed, I mean, Patch Adams, friggin', Hook, and then all of his more dynamic roles. Hook wasn't real popular with everybody. I personally liked Hook. I personally liked it. Fuck that.
Hook is
Wish
great.
I had 4 arms so I could give that movie 4 thumbs down.
Get your toes out.
No, Ben, you suck. What's wrong with you?
Fuck Hook.
But Robin
Hook was
Williams
bullshit.
Patch Adams. I mean,
I love Robin Williams, but yeah, you're naming 2 of his worst movies.
What, Patch Adams? You don't like that one either?
I'm about to Google
really?
it, but I'm gonna guess that Hook came out in a time where I was young and you guys were teenagers.
Probably.
You are absolutely correct.
Probably.
Oh yeah, 1991. Yep. That is why I liked that movie, and Ben thinks it was stupid.
That's right. I was just about to become a high schooler, and I was like, "Fuck this shit! Come on, Robin Williams, don't let me down. You were so good in Aladdin.
I want to go look at
in Aladdin, right?
And I was like, I want to be Easter.
That's one of his best roles, dude. Without a doubt.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right, so wait, Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, right, that guy.
Bringing up old shit.
I mean, I think we've done this before. Joker is his best performance, like hands down.
8mm. No, just kidding. He's not.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I
hear
Signs.
Walk the Line's really good, but I've never seen it.
He's incredible in Walk the Line and in Her. But Joker.
Have you seen We Own the Night? You remember We Own the Night? We worked for Blockbuster when that movie came out. That was a Blockbuster exclusive.
I don't think so. You talked to me about it.
That was back when
remember.
Blockbuster was Netflix.
I remember you telling me that I should watch it, and I remember going like, "Ben,
oh, it's great. Dude, there's a car chase scene in there. I don't want to give it away. Watch that movie. It's phenomenal. Sisters Brothers, one of the most recent movies he's done that I really love. John C. Reilly really, it feels like a spaghetti western done in modern day, but the story is a western, just the style is modern day. To clarify, let me go back into Sisters Brothers. Well, yeah, all right. What
No,
else you
no,
got?
please don't.
I just Googled him, by the way. It looks like in 2024, Joker 2 comes out, and it has a serious version of Harley Quinn in it.
Awesome. So, like, speaking of
Joker
other,
2.
Well,
Joe,
it's
have you
called-
seen Joker?
nope.
All right, so fuck you. Spoilers alerts. Russ has seen it.
Yeah.
The final scene in that movie, as they go to the credits,
where they pull him
is
out of
the
the car?
Joker killing people in the insane asylum, but it's just him running. And he's got blood all over him, and to me, it's one of the best parts of the movie is that ending. It's just a slow motion, probably 5 seconds, and it's stretched into a minute and a half. For the sequel to that movie to live up to just that ending scene, there is absolutely no way they can do it. Do you know if Todd Phillips is going to direct it?
I got a better question
You'd have to
for
Google
you
it.
guys.
Got it.
I got a better question for
Yes,
you guys.
he did
Okay.
the screenplay. He's the producer and he's the director.
You know, that's the guy who did Old School, right? I just want to point that out real quick. What a change in a career. That's the guy who wrote and directed Old
What
School
a
and The
shift.
First
What
Hangover.
a shift.
And The First Hangover.
Hey,
Which
you know,
are
he
I
got
mean,
married, had a couple kids, got divorced, paying
I
palimony.
gotta point out how stupid
Suddenly is the Joker.
Rotten Tomatoes is. The critics of Rotten Tomatoes gave Joker 68%. Don't ever listen to anything
Yeah,
they
'cause
say.
it's not
You want to
that
know what has
good.
100%? You want to know what has 100% on Rotten
Black
Tomatoes?
Panther.
Black fucking Panther.
It's
Hey,
the
guys,
best
hey,
movie
you want-
ever,
you
according
want
to Rotten
the
Tomatoes.
real, unedited version of what these movies bring to culture, historical significance, and just flat out LOLs per minute. You come see Covered in Film, baby.
Yeah,
Like,
I just googled Black Panther.
subscribe,
Like,
They
subscribe.
actually gave
ring
they
the
actually
bell,
gave-
bitches.
They gave Black Panther an 84%. I'll just say that. But the people who own Rotten Tomatoes gave it the #1 movie of all time.
I mean, it has its
True.
place in history.
Pays to be a Democrat.
Speaking of the #1 movie of all time,
Fuck all that. Speaking of
Connie Nielsen.
Speaking of sequels that you didn't think were going to come, they're making a sequel
Covered in
to
Film.
Gladiator. They're making a sequel to Gladiator.
No.
Yeah, as announced in 2021, 2022. Google it. Gladiator.
It's going to be a
sequel.
rehash.
Hey, man. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you want to talk about the movie you never thought there was going to be a sequel to. They wrapped that shit in pretty.
Now, you know what
paper
movie
and
I
put a
never
big
think
fat
there'll be a
bow on
sequel
it.
to?
I just
Kramer
Googled
to
it.
Kramer. Kramer versus Kramer. Never going to be a sequel to that movie.
Guess who's going to be the director of Gladiator 2?
Ridley Scott.
Is it Ridley Scott?
It's Ridley Scott.
It'll be a fucking.
Wow.
It'll be a Hummer, baby.
It's
Hell
going to be
yeah.
a good movie.
They're
We'll
gonna bring
see.
Richard Harris back from the dead.
Also,
Is it
Oliver
about
Reed
the
back from
Marvel
the dead.
character Gladiator?
Oliver Reed's
feel
rights to be in the sequel are gonna come into play.
he also is directing.
Oh, he
the Joaquin-
digitalized.
He's also directing Napoleon, starring Joaquin.
Only
Phoenix.
reason it's been delayed up until
Oh.
now is because they had to wait for CGI to reproduce Oliver Reed.
Wow. Well, they can do it now. Hey, Connie Nielsen, real quick. We touched on the 1 hour photo. Scored a great gig as Hippolyta in Wonder Woman, but will always be Mrs. Calloway from Rushmore forevermore. Dirk's mom.
For you.
Dirk's mom.
The Wonder Woman role is so much better.
Nah, she's Miss Calloway in Rushmore forevermore.
Fair enough, dude. When you watch Wonder Woman and you see Miss Calloway, I feel sorry for you.
Don't. Only got two more, and then we're done with the wad. Digimon Hansu. I don't know how to say his name. Like he was in Guardians of the Galaxy and got this little role that people
Digimon?
really love. Is it? Is it?
Do you remember
Digimon?
Digimon? No, you can't say Digimon. Do you know what Digimon is?
No. This guy, he was in this movie.
Do you remember?
He was really great in this movie.
Do you remember Tamagotchis?
That's so
yeah.
funny. I was just looking at buying my kids one of those for Christmas.
All right, so
Yeah, you're like, take care of a digital pet.
Yeah.
you
Show me your
guys
leadership skills.
you
We
were
want
probably
a dog.
too,
You can't do chores. Here, take care of this.
you were probably too cool for this when it came out, but I was still young enough. Digimon was another version of Tamagotchi. It was like for kids that were a little bit more edgy, a little bit older, just wanted to like fight each other.
They were the
And you
emo
could.
Tamagotchi.
No,
Yeah,
you
it's
you,
like a pet, only it'll hump other pets and maybe become a parent.
you could push your Digimon, basically a Tamagotchi,
Onto
into
somebody else. It's called rape.
you could connect yours together and you would fight. So you basically raise a Tamagotchi.
God.
Then you see which Tamagotchi could kill the other.
Oh
You
my
just
God.
called
the original Pokemon.
Mr. Houndzoo that.
Well, I don't know how to pronounce his actual name, but that guy's had a decent
Russ
career.
Might have been putting words in somebody's mouth, but
All
I
right,
like this actor.
final one.
He's in
Final
Amistad,
one.
isn't he too?
You know, I've never seen Amistad. I know
You
that's
haven't
racist.
seen
I'm sorry.
Amistad? That's a really
I've never
good
seen
movie.
Amistad.
It was one of the movies that was cited as the source material for this one.
Yeah. Did you know that the guy who played Jack Gleason, who plays Joffrey in Game of Thrones, modeled Joffrey on Commodus?
I would believe that. I would believe that.
I know, right? When you think about it, it's like, oh yeah,
off of the portrayal of Commodus in this movie.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I would. I mean, I gotta give Joaquin Phoenix. Like, I mean, let's talk about the most powerful on-screen role, because there are a lot of really powerful characters portrayed through the course of this film. Like, which one of the portrayals really like stands up for you guys above the rest? I mean, 'cause there's so many. There's Primo,
When you say
Proximo?
powerful,
Proximo.
when you say
Primo!
powerful,
Well, you got to
Oh.
narrow it down. What you're asking a very broad
I mean,
strokes question.
Proximo.
I feel
You
like.
got Russell Crowe. You got Proximo. You got
well,
the
Joe, do us a
Emperor. You got
favor.
the Emperor's sister. You have Marcus Aurelius. You have
Give us Marcus
Russell
Aurelius
Crowe's-
is in this movie. Give us an
naming
example.
actors versus
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
I can't keep
Joe,
track of all
Joe,
of them.
give us an example. Maybe not your number one, but like your number 3 or 4 on what you're talking about, so we know what to follow up your question with.
I mean, so even when they come to the portion of the movie where they're doing the actual Gladiator games, and you have the announcer, right? Like
Not my favorite.
even that role is incredibly powerful and poignant in its on-screen portrayal. Like, and this movie does a really good job of that, of whether it's a B-roll character or a primary plot point. Like, everybody really brings the heat. Like, Commodus's sister, I can't remember her name, her character name, but her, I mean,
That poor sister, dude. Like, what a shitty place to be. Connie Nielsen's her name.
yeah, Connie Nielsen.
You're talking about Lucilla.
Connie Nielsen. I knew Ben had said her name earlier, but I couldn't
Don't
remember.
tell me who I'm talking about.
Lucilla is the
Don't.
woman.
Russell Harris.
Commodus's sister or Joaquin Phoenix's sister? What do you guys want here? You're confusing me.
Russell
Is
Crowe's
his sister Summer Phoenix?
Russell Crowe's manservant. He doesn't have a lot of time on film.
Jibs.
Oh, Cicero.
it's Jibs. Yeah,
Dude,
Cicero.
Chibs. Another
It's
movie with
Chibs.
Chibs in it. Good for
Yeah.
him.
It's Jibs.
Dude, the
And-
guy who's like seems like his rat hand man, but then sides with the emperor because that's who he works for, who wears the bandage around his neck or whatever. I was like, oh, how shitty this guy has to be to
Dude,
fight against this.
you're
I'm
talking
sure he
about-
respects
You're
Maximus.
talking about Quintus.
yeah, Quintus. Or
Sure.
the giant fucking Germanian fucking gladiator.
Oh,
know,
Arnold
who-
Schwarzenegger?
Well, it wasn't Arnold, but yes. The giant bodybuilder guy who's, I mean, even he has his on-screen moments. So like out of all of these moments, like who do you think really like brings it home?
Well, okay, I'll answer your question. There's two scenes for me that really stand out. The first one, and I gotta say it's the best one in the movie, and it's the obvious one. It's just I am Maximus Decimus Meridius, general of the Northern
Father to a murdered
armies.
son,
Yeah,
husband to a murdered wife.
I mean, everyone knows that line ever. Everyone who's over probably 26 years old knows that line and has said it at some point in their line at least in their life at least 5 times. Like it's just important.
Bold statement.
We're
We're gonna do a poll.
that's a bold
Vote
move,
in the
Cotton.
poll.
I don't know. We're gonna have
It's
to see
true.
how that
It's
works
an
out for him.
That line is one of the most
Bold move, Cotton.
important lines in the history of cinema. And I
All right,
feel
so that's
like
number one. So where's number two? Like I feel like number two.
okay, now going like more deep into the movie and just picking shit that stood out to Russ. The scene where Marcus Aurelius first tells Commodus
There's
that
no
he's-
Marcus Aurelius in or you're
Richard
talking about
Harris.
the original emperor.
Yes.
I'm thinking, never mind. Go ahead. My bad.
Yes.
Ben, are you okay?
You know what?
In
This
the
is-
movie,
This is what
No.
happens when you do a movie review show with a movie snob.
it's true. When in the movie, when the emperor Marcus Aurelius tells his son Commodus that he's not going to be the next Caesar, and when Joaquin Phoenix basically breaks down and like tells him, if you had only loved me, like what could I have done, and really starts to cry and say he catalogs everything that's happened throughout his lifespan.
Almost like you
On-
rehearsed it. Almost like you knew it was going to happen. Almost like you knew
Yeah.
it was coming.
Well, I don't know. It was I feel like that was Joaquin Phoenix's best performance in the movie, and he had other great scenes, but to me that was a really good one, and it's the one scene to me that makes me feel like I kind of get it. Like
Yeah?
I don't hate this guy as much, but you
God,
hate him
I-
every
I-
other scene.
I really, really want to just like put together a group of cut scenes where Russell talks about how it makes you not hate this guy as much. And we're gonna put
Fuck
Hitler,
you.
and we're gonna put
Fuck
Hitler
you.
at the top of the
Don't bring
list.
up Hitler
Right.
again. You bring up Hitler every fucking time.
This is like the Roman version
Oh,
of
my
Hitler.
God.
Anyways, Ben,
Uh,
what's your
I really love Proximo when he's telling him about going to the Colosseum and the what's going to hit him there. I honestly find the
Like-
second half of
like a
his
stone.
Oliver Reed's performance as Proximo to be some of my favorite stuff in the movie. When he gives him that's barely even armor, but he's like, use this, and it's got the stallions on it. Like that scene's really great.
I would well, so second, Russ went 2, so give me 2.
No.
Well, because I got 2, so I need Ben to bring 2, so I don't feel like I'm taking
All I did,
advantage.
I
I
said
don't
the
really
one
like
we
any
were-
other scenes in this movie except that
I said the one we were all gonna say, so you only get one.
All right, well, so for me, I actually
No. When he throws his sword and he's just killed like 5 dudes in a row, and everybody's like, "Oh God, this guy is just slaughtering people in front of us." And he does the "Are you entertained?" I don't know if it's your answer or not, but that's a great scene.
God
Where he's
damn
like,
you,
"Fuck you
you
guys! This is why you came here."
motherfucker. Yes, no, that's probably my favorite
No-
scene in the movie. It's number one. Are you
Are
not
you not
entertained?
entertained?
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
That is a
Yeah.
great
You
scene.
came to see
Hey,
people
also,
get
when you talked
slaughtered.
about
You
throwing,
just saw it.
you saying that he threw the sword, it reminds me of when he yells Praetorian. That was a great action sequence. It
And
just shows.
God damn, you guys are
how
calling
badass
in
he
all
is.
the fucking leads, dude. That's my
I
second.
mean, because they're so
Jesus,
good.
dude. When he says, "Give me a clean death, a soldier's death," and then he slaughters those fucking guys like they were fucking a shaved tail Louis.
Hey, Joe, pick
Hey,
a scene that we didn't already say. Come on, man. Get out some original material here.
Come
Fuck
on,
you guys.
guy.
We wouldn't even be having this conversation if I didn't bring it up. Anyways, that being
That's
said,
right.
one of the most brutal scenes and the hardest ones for me to process in this movie, like really legitimately probably my favorite little, and it's not a short scene, but him riding the horses to get home, and the cut scene with his wife and his kid, and his kid's like, "Oh, it's daddy," and he's running down the walk, and they just
run his
fucking
ass down.
trample that fucking kid. You're like, oh, okay, we're going there. Like we like that that set the scene for the whole rest of the movie, right? I mean, like,
think of the people who that's their job. They're that unit where you're like, oh, dispatch the guys who want the world to die. Like yep.
dude, what kind of a human being do you got to be
This
to
is
figure
their
run a kid
favorite
down in
person's wife and kid.
right?
Go run them over.
And they're like, you're fucking dead.
Go trample him to death, rape her until she's free, beg him for death, and then crucify him and burn him.
We
You
don't know
guys
that she
realize
she-
that
Oh,
that
okay,
would
I
be
got
like
that, boss. It's what, Tuesday?
That is probably
you guys realize that would be like if somebody asked one of us to be like, hey, go kill your person's most important person, like to the other, which one of you is
Oh,
that
dude,
person?
whoever would have said some dumb shit like that to me about both of you guys would have freaking been bleeding out of his neck before he hit the ground.
Ben's like, I will kill your friends and
trample that
family.
fucking
I'll kill
kid.
you.
And I'm
I'll
like,
kill your
oh, you're a
family.
tasty bit of crumpet.
Now, it's true. I agree with Joe. If somebody says something like that, I magically have a pistol in my pocket and I shoot them in the belly. Like right in the spot where Bruce Willis says, this is going to take 13 minutes for you to die and it's going to be painful.
The
Saw it
reason
in
I
the
brought
movie.
up all of the
Bruce,
preferred
speaking of Mel
scenes is-
Gibson, Mel Gibson was offered the role of Maximus, and he was like, "I'm
He
43.
was
I'm way too fucking
declined.
old." I feel like, dude, Braveheart. He was like, "All right, I want to make this movie, so I'll be twice the age I should be." And then after that, was like, "No, I'm too old. No, I'm too old." I wonder how many roles he's turned down. He's too fucking old.
I'm actually curious to. I'm curious to know. It would have been interesting to see him in this role.
I think he would have done great.
I mean, having we just done Braveheart,
Yeah.
and then to
The
take this
problem
movie,
is that when those tigers are coming at him and he looks down and to the left, he's gonna get fucking mauled.
right? Because he should have been to the right, right?
I actually think I think the acting.
I didn't see it coming. Fuck.
I think that the acting would have been really similar, but where we would have had a different movie is Russell Crowe like forced this movie to be what Russell Crowe wanted it to be. Mel Gibson probably would have been a little more respectful.
Badass.
However,
Russell
both
Crowe,
of those
I
guys
mean,
are drunk. So
I
who
got to
knows?
give Russell Crowe a lot of credit in this movie. That was one of the things that I, because I hadn't seen this movie since we've started doing this show. And to go back and watch it and to see how much nonverbal acting that he actually did, where you literally almost heard his inner monologue. You know, like this is one of those instances where you're watching the book to movie conversion, and you know that this scene is actually probably like 3 chapters of inner dialogue, and it passes in 10 seconds on screen, and you're like, oh, I got that. I picked that up. Yeah, he really, really brings it to that human level. You could connect with Maximus. The
How
other
do you
scene,
how do you guys feel about Russell Crowe in South Park?
go ahead, Ben. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead. I don't even know where it has Russell Crowe been in South Park.
No, you don't know this?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So Russell Crowe went through this like violent period in his life where he would just punch random people in the face. And so South Park made a whole episode about him, and they just took some random dude and basically gave him an Australian accent, said he was Russell Crowe, and then they were like, fighting around the world, Russell Crowe. And he just walk up to random people. They'd be like talking about something. They'd be like, oh, I'm here making pies with my mom. And he'd just run in and punch him in the face. And he'd be like, fighting around the world. It was pretty funny.
I love it.
Russell.
I love
Fucking
it.
Russell.
It's so good.
Fucking
So good.
Russell.
That's what it's like to have my name. It's really
Hey,
hard.
is that what we're gonna expect?
I'm
at the
pretty
next
sure we've
40K
been-
game.
Yeah. Fighting around the world.
I'm hitting on twos. Wow, fighting around the world.
Just gonna have a hammer in my back pocket when you do something I don't like.
Bam,
I don't know what happens. Hemorrhaging in the head.
fighting around the world.
I think Ben just had an aneurysm.
Oh, I might have. This is a good time. I'm pretty sure we've been talking about this movie for 11 hours. So, any final thoughts?
Like,
Yeah,
subscribe.
ring the
Yeah.
bell.
We got more
And watch this
coming.
movie.
Classic
Watch
movie
this
next
movie.
week.
Watch this movie. It's a good
Is it?
movie.
Ben, it's your pick, right?
Watch it again. It's as good as you remember. But
Wait.
Joaquin Phoenix might not be.
I'm hijacking Russell's average score. So the cinema score average rating of this movie on a scale of A to F is A to A plus.